Mizerak doing Eddie Hawkins' song. Eddie's going to be here with us next week. You will not want to miss him. He's an incredible musician, and he's going to be doing a message woven in with his music, and we're doing a concert afterwards. So, love offering, $20 suggested. It is going to be a beautiful, beautiful day. And thank you so much to Julie Wright and the Inspire Choir. Where are you, Julie? Yeah. Oh, there you are. Just a beautiful chant. Julie has this knack for writing to words that she's heard. Thank you so much for that. So good morning, everybody. Feel the love in the sanctuary. I'm feeling this. I'm Kimberly Hawkins. I am the senior minister here. And I want to welcome you all to Center for Spiritual Living Rogue Valley in partnership with Unity of Medford. On the fourth Sunday of each month, it's Unity Sunday, so you'll be hearing a Unity reading. Jean Hanna, a former Unity board president, did our beautiful meditation this morning. Laura Stewart is the practitioner doing our reading and meditation. And Carol White is holding high watch, praying throughout the service for the highest and best unfoldment for everybody here. So we are a radically inclusive, spiritually progressive faith community, teaching tools to transform our personal lives and to help make a world that works for everybody. So we welcome you no matter where you may happen to be on your personal spiritual journey. We believe in many paths to one God. If you're here for the very first time, we just would love to give you a little love. Anybody here for the first time? Would you raise your hand so we can just warm you? We're so glad to have you join us, and if you haven't received a welcome packet, one of our ushers will find you and give you one. Please, if you haven't already, turn off your cell phones or put them in airplane mode. And we're about to turn it back over to the musicians. Just a reminder after this particular song to hold your applause, please, as we go right into prayer. And one more note, you'll notice that our video team is missing today. We're not broadcasting live, but our sound engineer, Tom Frederick, is recording this, so we'll be posting the recording later, both on our Facebook page and YouTube. But our video crew, bonded as they are, has gone fishing together, literally. They are at Fish Lake for the weekend camping, and we just celebrate them. They are so dedicated, and they deserve a holiday weekend off, so we wish them well. All right, take it away, Anton and Laura.
Om So just relaxing into the high vibration that's moving in through and as each and every one of us in this room. I bless our time together here today, knowing that this sacred service that we're all a part of is speaking to each and every one of us in the way that it most needs to. Knowing that we are completely saturated in the presence of God, immersed in love. Knowing that we are here to contribute to the peace and the power and the presence of this world. I'd like to take the time to bless all those who've made this service possible, for that is divine service. I'm grateful for everyone who felt called to be here today, to honor and expand on the conscious awareness of who they are as the divine expressions of the One, the Infinite All. I'm so grateful to know that our time together is blessed. And that not only are we raising our vibration, but that after this service we will share that vibration, that love, that power, that peace, that joy, that consciousness with the community beyond. For as we recognize our own divinity, we are able to see and recognize and honor it in everyone and everything around us and live accordingly. So I simply say thank you, God, knowing that all is well, all is blessed, all is whole and complete, and that today is unfolding exactly the way that it needs to. So we step back, allowing God to be God in our lives. And ground this by saying, and so it is.
So it is.
So I would like to start by taking a moment of silence. Tomorrow is Memorial Day. This weekend, for so many people, represents the beginning of summer. And yet for so many others, it signifies the loss that they've experienced personally or through community, either mourning and grieving the loss of a loved one or a serviceman and women. So I just invite you to take a moment out of respect, love, and just honoring those who've given their lives. Today we honor the legacy, courage, and memory of those who have given their lives in service to our country. We prayerfully express our gratitude and heartfelt appreciation for their selfless dedication. We also remember our loved ones who have transitioned and embrace them in the radiant light of love. We remember how they enriched our lives and feel gratitude as we remember the ways they blessed us with their presence. In memory of all whom we honor today, we commit to being a presence of peace in all situations. We hold a vision of a world at peace with the understanding that each and every one of us are a part of the human family and one with God. Knowing that as we know this for ourselves, we know this for every single person within this room and everyone beyond it. For we truly are one. There is no separation. Any separation exists in our minds only. Today we forgive easily and we seek harmony by extending loving kindness and compassion to all. This is the way that we show up in the world. We honor those people by honoring our divinity through loving and blessing and honoring the divinity in all of those around us. And so it is.
I asked these two to do that song. That's what we do in community for one another, yes? Oh my goodness. And that's part of what my talk is about today. Thank you, you two. Oh, oh, so lovely. Ay, ay, ay. Let's see, I've got my outline backwards, so let me fix that for starters. I'm trying to stay more in one place than I usually do because Tom is managing both sound and camera this morning, so appreciate you, Tom. We have been talking this month. The theme is Ladder to the Light. I love that title. It's a book by Native American Choctaw elder Stephen Charleston. The darkness is pretty apparent in many, many aspects in our lives today, in our country, in our world, sometimes in our personal lives. And so I love this idea of a ladder to the light. How do we see? How do we climb to see the light, to see the truth, to see God present and loving us and really delivering goodness in the world when there's a lot of dark right now. So Choctaw elder Stephen Charleston has each chapter in the book is named after a rung in the ladder to the light. So the first week it was the ladder of faith, and we talked about how do we plant seeds to grow our faith. Last week was the ladder of blessing, and I didn't realize what that meant at first, but what he's talking about is the blessing of really taking in this infinite, unfathomable love of the divine for all of its creation, including us. And part of that, taking in that love, is taking in the love of God that pours through other people to us. I told the story of my son Tony when he's in law school, creating a project of mentorship recognition, and he was in a very depressed mode, but he wrote letters recognizing over 50 people who had somehow lifted him up. And in the process, it lifted him up and lifted them up. This morning, the rung we're talking about is the rung of hope. Hope is not something that we talk about very often in Science of Mind or New Thought teachings. We tend to talk about faith. Ernest Holmes was very clear that we didn't need just hope, we needed faith. We needed to know that we know that we know that God is everywhere present, that God wants nothing but our good, that all things work together for the good as the Bible tells us. But let's face it, like we talked about week one when we talked about faith, faith and doubt are dance partners, right? I mean, is there anybody in here who got faith and that's it? You never doubt, you never have a, right? I hear laughter. No, we have to keep working it. And I think that's where hope comes in. It is a very important part of our ladder to the light. And it's really a combination of faith and feeling God's love and trusting that God is with us every step of the way. So I want to talk today about how we might step up to that ladder of hope together and climb the ladder to the light. Again, the metaphor, the central metaphor in this book is that of the kiva. It is a sacred place in many Native American traditions, underground, a chamber, if you will, that's quite dark. There's a ladder that you can go down and you can ascend, and you can see a little light at the top because there's wood slats and an opening. But the kiva is a place where we recognize darkness, we move through it, we are transformed, we experience a rebirth. And so that's, I'm hoping, what you and I together are going to be doing this month and next. So it's interesting, I was hiking yesterday around Emigrant Lake, and along the path I saw these cards stashed in different places. I know Patricia Van Everett does this sometimes with her little peace cards, but they were all along the path, and I brought one home because this is what the card says. There are rainbows and clouds and sun. We are constantly presented with golden opportunities, cleverly disguised as insurmountable obstacles. Yeah. Attitude is everything. Everything is an opportunity. And I thought, how timely, because this is a message of hope, is it not? That even those things that look like insurmountable obstacles, and I think there are a lot of them in our lives right now, our collective lives, what look like insurmountable obstacles are golden opportunities. If we have the right attitude, the right faith, if we can step on that ladder to the light together. So I wanted to read, I explained earlier that this book is based on a compilation of downloads, if you will. The author would sit in the morning and receive messages from the divine, and so he incorporates them into the book. And I haven't read all of them, and I won't, but I want to read one to start this message today about the rung of hope. So this is Spirit speaking through him. Don't let the dark clouds fool you. They may pretend to own the heavens, stretching from horizon to horizon, ominous and commanding a permanent shadow over our lives. But I know their secret. There's a world of sunlight behind them. It reminds me, when you fly in an airplane and it's really dreary and cloudy and you go up above the clouds and the sun is there. It's brilliant, right? One day, when the wind of change pushes those clouds apart, that light will return to bathe the earth, to restore the vision of every person, to set right that which has been broken. Stand firm in what you know and believe. Look up and do not be afraid, for when you feel the first breeze of hope, the clouds will soon be chased from the sky. And thus the author begins his discussion of the rung of hope. In the Bible, in 1 Corinthians, Paul talks about these three remain: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. And I love that because all three are quite important, I believe. And I talked about Ernest Holmes, maybe not so much, but I think right now, if he were here, he'd agree that hope is an element in our maintaining our faith and climbing that ladder to see the light. Now, this author, I've explained before, he was trained in Native American spirituality from his grandfather. He was raised in that tradition, but he became an ordained Episcopal priest, and he practices Zen Buddhist meditation. So he's a wonderful, eclectic example of spirituality. And he talks in the book about the tragedy his people faced, and it wasn't just the Choctaw Nation, it was all Native American tribes in this country. In 1831, he says their world came to an end for his family and his Choctaw Nation. They were forced off their ancestral homeland. They were made to walk on a death march they called the Trail of Tears. I used to live in Arizona. There was even a stone in the mountains, in the White Mountains, called Apache Tears. Thousands of people died. They lost their homes. They lost their way of life, even their graveyards. They lost everything except the one thing that could not be taken from them. You know what it was? Their hope. Their hope. Climbing toward the light together, even though the world seemed to be filled with nothing but darkness, they maintained their hope. It reminded me when I read that of a beautiful book by Viktor Frankl, a survivor of the Holocaust, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl was amazing because he was a doctor, I think a psychiatrist, and tended to people in the concentration camps and helped them. And he too knew that those who could maintain hope were the ones that tended to survive. This is something he said that I love. Everything, he echoes, everything can be taken from a man but one thing. The last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. So you and I, get to choose our attitude in the set of circumstances that we're being handed right now that doesn't always look real pretty, real peaceful, doesn't look like oneness part of the time, a lot of the time, right? We get to choose. So that long walk of the Choctaw people and the other Native American tribes represents really what each one of us has experienced in these times. Sometimes feeling alone, sometimes feeling afraid, oftentimes afraid of the unknown, because we're not sure. As much as we can pray for good and trust that good things come to those who love God, and I believe that, we don't always know exactly how things are going to turn out. So it's a wonderful metaphor, I think, for our journey. That tribe of people knew that Spirit was in their hearts every step of the way. That blessing we talked about last week, that unfathomable, huge, indescribable love of the divine for its children was with them. They embodied that so that no oppression could overcome the hope they saw before them as their future. You know, I've been listening to a podcast lately. It's called How God Works, the Science Behind Spirituality. And in a recent episode, the host interviewed a Buddhist teacher who talked about two different kinds of hope, ordinary hope and wise hope. So ordinary hope is, you know, when we hope something's going to happen and we kind of get attached to it, and the danger in ordinary hope is that if it doesn't turn out the way we wanted it to, we can feel futility, we can feel hopelessness, we can feel anger, resentment even, right? But wise hope is when we hope for a better future, we hope for a better outcome, but we're not attached to exactly how it's going to turn out, because we know in our human minds we probably can't even program or imagine what the best possible outcome is, but there's an infinite intelligence greater than us that knows. So wise hope is when we trust the outcome will be to our benefit collectively, but we are open to possibility. We are open to how that might look, and thus we kind of avoid the disappointment that might occur otherwise. The host of this podcast quoted Barbara Kingsolver. I hope I have this because I'll have to make it up if I didn't print it out. I don't think I did. Barbara Kingsolver said she doesn't particularly, she's a wonderful author. She doesn't particularly consider herself an optimistic person, but she does consider herself a hopeful person. She said a pessimist would say something like, oh, it's going to be terrible winter, we're all going to die. An optimist would say, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it, don't think about it. A hopeful person might say, maybe there'll be somebody still alive in February, so I'm going to put some potatoes in the root cellar, just in case. And that may sound a little bit dark, but I think that's what we're called to do right now, metaphorically, is to put some potatoes in the root cellar. In other words, make plans for what we can do for people that are going to be here even after we're gone. Plant seeds of love, of opening to good, of life. Put some potatoes in the root cellar, just in case. So in this podcast, it talked about, I'm trying to figure out if I want to say, no, that comes later, okay? It talked about hope is more than a belief, it's more than a feeling, it's actually an action. And they listed 3 ways that we can renew our hope, kindle our hope, rekindle our hope. And I love these, and I think they're very, very important. So number 1, spend time in the magnificence of nature. How many feel renewed and hopeful when you spend time in nature? And don't we live in an incredible place to do that? This Grove Valley is so gorgeous. And those of you who know me know I hike all the time, and I take thousands literally, of pictures of wildflowers. Because to me, they're hope, they're happy, they're beautiful. They speak to me of the infinite intelligence of the divine, the designs and the colors and the sizes and the shapes, they're incredible. So to spend time in the magnificence of nature, to be renewed. Number 2 is time in a caring community. You're all here, you're doing that. Because a community can support us, that beautiful song. We can remember for each other when we forget, because you know what, we're all going to have periods when we forget. We forget there's a God who loves us. We forget there's a God who always brings things in the end to work together for the good. We forget that there is only love. And we are here to remind each other of that, to be supportive of each other. But even more than that, Really, just like a primary relationship, sometimes we see the reflection of our dark spots in other people, right? Did you ever do something and get a reaction and you realize, oops, I may not be acting from that place of, unconditional love. So in other words, we in community act as mirrors for each other and help each other understand where it is I need to grow, where it is I need to polish my rough edges. So we support each other and we invite each other to grow. It's a beautiful thing about community. The third thing, so we have time in nature, time in a caring community. The third thing is something I mention probably every week in my talk, time in quiet contemplation. Time with God. We talked about this in week number 1 when we talked about the rung of faith. I talked about being intimate with the infinite. And we can't be intimate with somebody or something unless we spend time with them, yes? So we need to make sure that we are consistently getting quiet, listening. Meditation and contemplation is listening, prayer is speaking. Both are important. Those 3 things, I think, build our faith and hope muscles. So I wanted to read you a poem by Mary Oliver, one of my favorites and probably a favorite. She often speaks of the power of nature to heal us. Wild Geese and some of her other famous poems. This one is called Burning Poem. And again, I think it speaks to how nature can help us see the light, how it can help us step onto that rung of hope. Every morning the world is created under the orange sticks of the sun. The heaped ashes of the night turn into leaves again and fasten themselves to the high branches. And the ponds appear like black cloth on which are painted islands of summer lilies. It is your nature to be happy. You will swim away along the soft trails for hours, your imagination alighting everywhere. And if your spirit carries within it the thorn that is heavier than lead, if it's all you can do to keep trudging, there is still somewhere deep within you a beast shouting that the earth is exactly what it wanted. Each pond with its blazing lilies is a prayer heard and answered lavishly every morning. Whether or not you have ever dared to be happy, whether or not you have ever dared to pray. Like all poems, I could probably read it twice, but I won't. But, to let it sink in. The sticks of the sun, don't you love that? I thought of the rays that we often see coming down when we draw pictures of the sticks of the sun, turning the heaped ashes of the night to leaves again. So, in other words, I think the metaphor here is each new day brings new promise, new life, a new beginning for each of us to reset and to be present as the light comes into the earth, allow it to come into our consciousness. And if our spirits carry that thorn, that heaviness, heavier than lead, sometimes it feels like all we can do is keep trudging. But deep within us we know we're here for a purpose, we're here absolutely on purpose. Whether we pray or not, there's a beautiful message we can receive from nature. Thank you, Mary Oliver. Now, His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, talks frequently and enthusiastically about how we might transform our futility. And you know how he says we do that? Don't you love him? He is such a happy, of all the people on earth who've experienced hardship and, being exiled from his own country and so on, he just exudes joy. He says how we transform our futility or our hopelessness is through the experience of serving others. Hope is not just an emotion or a wish, he reiterates, but a practice to act from our values. And neuroscience proves this is true. Study after study has shown that people who are depressed or feeling hopeless, if they can get themselves in a position of volunteering and being a beneficent presence for others, it lifts them up. It's what my son Tony did when he was in that depression when his wife had left him, and he wrote notes appreciating everybody. It lifts us up. So I think that's another clue. So we could add that. Magnificence, spending time in the magnificence of nature. Time in a caring community of family and friends, time in contemplation, and time figuring out and acting to serve others. Yeah. So, let's see. To step over the threshold of our own fears, we must be willing to do what the survivors of the Trail of Tears did. We have to embody hope, holding on to that third rung of the ladder with all our might, breathing in the confidence of spirit and using that confidence to look into the future with hope, with faith. We're not alone. We are never alone. Remember that first week we talked about in the Bible, Jacob's ladder talks about angels climbing up and down that ladder. So as we go through the ups and downs of life, we're never alone. We have angels beside us all the time, helping us, guiding us, loving us. The more we share in hope, the more we see the light, even in the darkness of the midnight hour, and we can help each other see that light. So this vision of the Kiva is that even in the dark, we can embody the light of spirit. Hope is a decision. We choose light over darkness, and we are as strong as that hope. It's an interesting fact that when the Choctaw Nation people arrived in the new land, unknown land, where they were refugees, one of the first things they did was to name that land. They named it Oklahoma. Okla meaning people, Homa meaning red. And the author writes that the government thought that that was a reference to race because we were very, very over-conscious of race in those days. Red, yellow, black, white, right? But red didn't mean race. Homa meant the red fire of spirit. Christian churches last week just celebrated Pentecost when the tongues of spirit come like fire down to the earth. So this was Okla, the people, or as Charleston says, the tribe of humans are the spirit people. So we're all spirit people. And that was meant as a hopeful sign for all people, for all refugees, from people of all walks of life, that there was a place of freedom and a goal to keep climbing to and not lose hope. Can you imagine what they went through to hang on to that hope? So as people of faith, we are called, I believe, to join this dance of hope. Out of our own private worlds, our fears, our prejudices, to share the dance ground of life with people of all backgrounds. And the first dance step we take is one called hope. I want to read for you another selection from Charleston's book before we wrap up here. Be renewed in your faith, strengthened in all you believe, be blessed in your spirit, lifted up once more to do what your heart tells you is your calling. Be filled now with a holy energy made young once more to continue your search for the sacred. All along our journey, the Spirit is there to help us when we grow discouraged, to support us when we feel tired. We are offered a cup of cool water from the deep springs of love. Feel the power of your own hope returning. See the vision that once inspired you glow again with the fire of heaven. Be renewed in your faith, strengthened in all you believe. And I want to end with a couple thoughts. One from Amanda Gorman, the National Youth Poet Laureate. She said, "The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it." So this ladder to the light, part of what we need to remember is that we are the light, right? We are individual incarnations, expressions of that one divine light. It lives within us. It lives as us. So important to remember. This little light advice from Shel Silverstein, the children's author. Listen to the mustn'ts, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, the won'ts. Listen to the never haves. Then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. Let's go into prayer. So as we examine this ladder to the light, we remember, we recognize that that light that is God, the living Spirit Almighty, that precious creator, source of all that is, of infinite love, perfect peace, exquisite harmony and order. That presence, that powerful power can do all things, is present in every situation. How beautiful the reminders if we have the eyes to look, the cards that I saw on my hike, the beauty in nature, the beautiful, peaceful messages we receive when we get quiet in times of contemplation, the reminders of our holiness, our goodness, our worthiness when we celebrate one another in community. God loves us beyond our ability to imagine. And if we can engage in that dance with doubt and faith and keep our hope, step up and onto that rung of hope, we not only lift ourselves toward the light, but we bring others with us. We act as a beacon of that light. So my prayer for us this week is that we do remember to do those three things of contemplation, spending time in nature, engaging in community, and also remembering how we might serve someone else. That we act as beacons. We lift our own spirits, we lift those aside from us, beside us. And I know that God smiles when we do that. I know that the angels clap for us when we do that. And we are lifted higher and higher, accompanied always by divine presence. So I speak a word for all those who are living right in the midst of apparent darkness, those that are experiencing war, tornadoes, disease, poverty, hunger, prejudice, injustice, knowing that we each can make a difference. As we climb that ladder, we hang onto that rung of hope. We lift each other up that ladder to the light as a human species, as Charleston calls it, the tribe of human beings. We are one. We are meant to help each other, give each other a lift up that ladder, and to ask for help when we need it. So I'm so grateful for this beautiful author whose ancestors suffered unimaginable hurt and yet hung on to the hope, hung on to their faith in Great Spirit, Hashtali, the sun beyond the sun, whatever you want to call Spirit God, our maker, our creator, our love, our life. I give thanks for this community. I give thanks for all faith communities who celebrate, whether it's in a mosque, an ashram, a temple, on a yoga mat, or in the woods. We are one. There is one presence, one power. And we can climb that ladder to the light together as a human tribe. In gratitude, I release this word knowing it's heard, it's answered. Maybe not in exactly the way we imagine, but in a bigger and better way, because the divine is all-knowing, all-present, all-powerful. So I simply release this prayer, and I invite us to say together,
And so it is.
so it is. Amen.
No, that was so beautiful. Thank you, Kimberly. We're going to do a song that I hope fits right in with that beautiful message of hope and community. It's called Keep a Good Heart. Those were the last words of one of my friend's mothers as she passed on. And my friend gave permission for me to use it in the song, spreading that message to the world. And there's a place where that phrase repeats near the end of the song, and at that point, I'd love it if you would sing it to each other, reminding us of ourselves, our inner light, and the light of those who have passed, as Laura talked about earlier. So when we get there, you'll pick it up. Something lost, something found, in a single moment, heaven fills your eyes, it's all around. For a single moment, can you hear your heart in the quiet of your dreams? Keep a good heart, let it be yours, let it be true. Keep a good heart, let it be happy. Keep a good heart, fill it with hope, see it anew. It is your heart to share. The sun reveals its brilliance like a diamond through the darkness, sending ripples through the cosmos to the edge of time. You've given it all away, what you never knew you wanted, what you always thought you had, but the heart remains. Keep a good heart, let it be yours, let it be true. Keep a good heart, let it be happy. Keep a good heart, fill it with hope, see it anew. It is your heart to share. Now we get to share. Keep a good heart, keep a good heart, keep a good heart. Keep a good heart, keep a good heart, keep a good heart. Turn and sing it to someone. Keep a good heart, keep a good heart, keep a good heart. And sing it to yourself. Keep a good heart, keep a good heart, keep a good heart. Always.
Perfect song. Perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Time now for our tithes and offerings. Thank you so much to all who continue to give generously to CSL Rung Valley Unity. And thanks to those online who will be watching later, though they're not watching now. Let's say our affirmation together. I don't think we have slides this week, so I guess I'll have you say it after me. Come on forth. Ushers, I guess Morel and Will, thank you so much for serving today. If you say after me, please, graciously I give.
Graciously I give.
From a place of love.
From a place of love.
Knowing that as I give.
Knowing that as I give.
So do I richly receive.
So do I richly receive.
So it is. couple celebrations to recognize. Our practitioner, Wendy Wellborn, graduated last week with a master's in divinity. And Wendy, is it okay if Wendy has accepted an amazing job as a hospital chaplain in San Francisco. Which hospital, Wendy? St. Francis. It's huge. It's a huge big deal. And she is such a great presence. Talk about serving others. Wendy, we love you and wish you well. Yeah. And Laura Stewart has finished all her classwork for her Master's in Consciousness Studies and will be a licensed minister of Science of Mind come August when she passes.
The 21st.
The 21st of August when she passes it. And on kind of a sad note for us, but not for her, I hope. Krista, where are you? Would you wave? Krista's in the back. Krista Rudney is moving soon. We are going to miss her terribly, but I know that we bless you, Krista, on your path, knowing that only good awaits you. And you are indeed a great, beneficent presence. So thank you, dear heart. Love you. Yeah. Upcoming events. Drumming Circle meets here today after service. Will, where are you? Raise your hand. Will. There he is in the back. I believe he has drums if you don't have one, and it's really a great circle. Men's group meets tomorrow at 11 a.m. here. Tai Chi meets Tuesday at 11:30 here. Our own Alexa Ehrlich, our beautiful vocalist, is graduating from SOU, and her senior recital is this coming Wednesday at 7:30 at the SOU Recital Hall. I will be there. I hope a lot of you will join me. She is so amazing. It's a free concert, and you know how talk about giving us hope and lifting our spirits, right? She's amazing. So congratulations to Alexa. On Friday, May 31st, we're showing a movie here, and I think there might have been a little misunderstanding about what this movie is about. It's called God and Country. It's about the dangers of Christian nationalism. Now, we're not saying the dangers of Christianity. We're saying there is a movement afoot that wants to think that we're all Christian, which we aren't, that it's just a very conservative spiritually, in that it doesn't honor people of different cultures. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So it's about the dangers of Christian nationalism, not in support of Christian nationalism. Certainly faith traditions are important. They're very important to all of us. And Christianity is very important. But sometimes it gets hijacked. So it's very interesting. There's a link in the newsletter if you want to look at a little trailer for that movie. This is an interfaith. The Quaker Friends are the ones that approached me if they could use it. Are you okay?
Yes.
Wow. Whoa. The Quaker Friends approached me to use our space, and United Church of Christ will coming. So it's a very much of an interfaith gathering. It's at 6:30 Friday, May 31st here. We'll have popcorn, and the movie's about an hour and a half, and then there's a discussion afterwards. So let's make sure that our faith traditions support what's good for everybody, a world that works for everyone, and not segregate us like we were in the past in the worst way.
Yes.
The really exciting thing, next Sunday, do not miss Eddie Watkins Jr. if you can possibly, yeah. So Eddie, there's a big bio in the newsletter about him. He is from Florida. He's doing a Northwest tour, so we're really lucky to have him here. He grew up in Detroit. I think I might have told you last week or so. With Motown greats. At 17, he was playing the bass guitar for like Duke Ellington and the Temptations, and he was a part of the Motown scene, and he's just incredible. Had kind of a renewal when he went through an addiction with drugs and began a spiritual path, and music just flows through him, like the song we sang in the very beginning. What was the name of it, Laura? We Come Together, yeah. He is just a beautiful soul, and he'll be doing both the message and the music. I will be here, and we have a concert after service with Eddie. So talk about a way to climb the ladder of hope. I highly recommend this. Dr. Kimberly recommends Eddie Watkins Jr., a great prescription for faith and hope. Finally, we have a date for our participation in the All Faith Built and Habitat for Humanity in Ashland. So mark your calendars, July 18, it's a Thursday. I'm going to be in the social hall after service because I need anyone who wants to be a part of that. So those of you who signed up or ones that still want to, we need to have you read and sign a release. And you don't have to have any special skills. They're very well aware that some of us are of a certain age. That's fine. We'll be doing things like stapling and just things that are, we'll be instructed what to do. It's pretty easy work. And that's Thursday, July 18th. So make sure you see me if you're still wanting to be a part of that. Even if you're not sure, but you want to, let's have you fill out the release so you're ready to go. We'll get a schedule out. And I think that is it. There, as always, there's a prayer box in the back. You can put your prayer requests in. There's one for unity in the social hall in Bosworth Hall. Please join us after service for soup and goodies. Let's see, what am I forgetting? I feel like I'm forgetting something. Maybe just the benediction. Practitioners and ministers, kindly come forward. Remember that these folks have been trained to pray with you, so please do not leave this space with a heavy heart. They will listen to you and do what we call a 5-minute miracle. If the rest of us can kind of move ourselves into the social hall, we can have a quiet space in here for prayer. And I'm going to do a little benediction and turn it over to our musicians for our closing song. This from Isaiah 40:31. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. And finally, from Amanda Gorman on Hope. This one gets me. We lay down our arms. I'm sorry, Tom, I wasn't supposed to. I wasn't supposed to come down. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried. And so it is. Amen.
Please stand, and for our Unity Sunday today, we will end with the peace song.